Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on there. I try to be active on there, but I'm not crazy active as I should be, but I do want to get better at it. Took a few weeks off, but I was posting pretty consistently. You can also find me on Facebook. Flips and Giggles is the page. That's also the company name. So that's, our eBay store username. So that's Flips and Giggles on eBay and also Flips and Giggles on Whatnot. We do live shows every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. on Whatnot. So if you're listening to this when this episode is released today, there will be a Whatnot show tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, man, today is one of those days that I know that it's going to be freezing soon, because it was like fairly warm yesterday and fairly warm today, and I'm talking about like New England standards. And that just means that any minute now it's going to be freezing again, because it always happens. I was outside doing using the leaf blower, clearing up the area outside. I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's nice outside. I was starting to fall into the trap. I was like, man, and then I stopped myself as I was blowing leaves and just remembered, we're only 12, 13, 14 days into January. I couldn't remember where we were at, so I had to just keep going until I got it. I think it's the 14th. Yeah, it's the 14th today. So, you get into that, you get kind of lulled into that false sense of security where it's like, all right, maybe spring's just around the corner. Maybe that was the winter. Maybe it was just a short, kind of harsh winter. Like, it was harsher than the last couple winters, but the last couple winters it was pretty warm most of the time. Not warm, but warmer than it's been this winter. So I'm like, I'm trying not to let myself because then you get like the seasonal depression even worsens because you got yourself a little bit of hope. You're like, man, we're almost on the other side of this. And it sucks is as soon as spring happens, my kid will be like, I want a Christmas to be happening. It's like, dude, we're months away from that. Let's just enjoy the here and now while we're in it. You know what I mean? I would try to even enjoy being in the here and now just because, you don't want all these days and hours to rush by. You're just trying to get through to the end of the season, as much as I love yard sale season, which is just on the horizon. It's another week. I hit up at an estate sale on Saturday. I didn't really feel like going crazy early, and I probably wouldn't have gone if I had known who was running the estate sale. This lady, she's like, you find this type of lady at estate sales and stuff sometimes. She's kind of like a crotchety old lady. I've known her, she doesn't remember who I am, obviously. She'd remember if I told her like the deal that we had. So I went into her thrift store when I first started reselling, and I would just go, I had more time. We just had our one kid, and my wife was on maternity leave when we first moved. So and my wife was on maternity leave, and then not even a maternity leave, she was looking for a job because we moved. So she went on maternity leave at her last job, and then we were actively moving and looking for a job. So she was home. So I was going to, thrift stores that I normally wouldn't go to and trying them out. And there was one that was like a brand new thrift store. I went in there, talked to the lady. I bought an old, it was like a dragon, not a dragon. It was from Power Rangers. It was like the Green Ranger, and it was one of the big Megazords. I can't remember which one. It was like the green one. I don't remember. It's gonna drive me crazy because I know the name. And so I went in there and she had that, and I bought that from her, and that was my first interaction with her. And she, I just kind of mentioned that I was like, oh, do you have any other toys like this? And she's like, well, actually, I just got a whole collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this, that, and the other. I said, all right, well, I'm mostly interested in action figures and stuff like that. So, let me know what you got and I'll come take a look. So she calls me, we had made plans for this. I'd planned to meet her for weeks a couple weeks. And I go, and she calls me like the weekend that I'm supposed to meet her, and she's like, hey, I've got this stuff here for you. I also have this other stuff. I want somebody to take it all, but I'd already talked to you, so do you want this stuff? Because otherwise, I'm just gonna try to sell it to this guy who wants to buy it all. After we had already made a deal on this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, so I'm like, of course I want it. Like, thinking it's more action figures, and I get there and it's like Tonka and shit, and like I understand Tonka is worth it to kind of look into, but I had $600 to spend on this, because that was what we could come up with, was like $600 for the Ninja Turtle stuff. And at the time, I mean, $600, it's been a while since I've spent that much on a buyout, just because the opportunity hasn't really presented itself. But at that time, that was like the first time I spent big money, in terms of like, I know some people spend thousands on this shit, but in terms of like where I was at the time, $600 on toys that I wasn't even sure were going to sell was a lot. And I had to kind of go through, I was looking some stuff up, but I there was like the blimp was there, the sewer set, and the sewer set was like almost complete. So like there was a few sets that were almost complete, and then a few figures that were like, heavy hitter figures, and then like a lot of the stuff I could bundle up. And so, when I got there, she had all that other extra shit, mind you, like, at this point I didn't want to lose this deal, because we had already fucking talked about this deal. So I just said, yeah, I'll take it. And I get there and I was like, oh, this isn't like action figures. I was like, yeah, we had talked about action figures. I'm like, I just want action figures. Like, I don't want this other stuff. I want the original stuff that we had made a deal on. So she, she actually did make the deal. She went along with the deal, but you could tell she didn't want to. Like, she was kind of annoyed. But it's like, lady, this was the deal that we had. So anyway, I that was the end of that. I'm like, if you have come across any other toys, like, let me know. I could tell just by the way she said it, she just wanted me out of there with my shit, like, take it and go. So this lady was the one running this estate sale. They do estate sales around the area, and I never know when it's them. They're pretty good at, and I don't think it's for any other reason other than they're just really inept at being an estate sale company. They got that old lady running the show, and she's just, so I haven't seen her in a few years. Like every once in a while, I'll randomly see her at a sale, and I saw her like when it was close to after I had actually like done that deal with her. And I was like, hey, do you remember me? I bought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's just her response, you could tell she was just still not happy about it. And I'm like, that was the deal that we had. Like, I know I kind of was like, yeah, I'll take everything. But that was under the assumption that it was the stuff that I had talked about her with. You know what I mean? I don't understand people's, that's one of the biggest issues that I run into, is like talking to somebody and they'll be like, you'll go to them and be like, oh, what did we talk about again? It's like, what do you mean, what did we talk about? How many other people are you talking to about this? And most of the time it's not a lot. Like if it's somebody that I've, reached out to for this, that, the other, and they'll be like, yeah, what are you here for? I'm like, how do you not, like, I just talked to you 5 minutes ago. Like if it's a marketplace thing that you get there, like, oh, which one are you here for? I'm like, dude, I just talked to you 5 fucking minutes ago. Like I don't understand how people are so clueless as to fucking what's going on. Anyway, I got sidetracked. So anyway, yeah, I see this lady occasionally, and I asked her that time. And so I see her this time, and this is like, it's been a couple years at this point, and she's, age has kind of caught up with her. She was already an older lady, but she just is like very, very crotchety. Like she was, and she's funny. You know what I mean? I think she's funny. It's just her sales are always kind of interesting, because you'll go there, there'll be stuff in the picture, and you'll be like, hey, is this stuff here? And she'll be like, no, we didn't put that in the sale. It's like, well, why the fuck is it in the picture? And like, that's a known problem that they have, is like putting shit in the picture, and then you go there that day and it's not there. Not like people got there before you. It's just like, just not there. And so she was there, and she was getting all upset because people weren't shutting off their phone camera or their phone flashlights. You know what I mean? Understandable, because, you forget. I do it all the time, but half the time these places aren't very lit. So it's like, if you're having a sale, try to turn on the lights at least, or, something. But she was just bitching about that. And so I got there. I didn't feel like going there that early. The sale started at 8. Or no, 9. Sale started at 9. I didn't feel like getting, like, I was going to go there at 8, and hang out. But I really didn't feel like there was nothing there that I really wanted. There's a couple things from my hometown, like artwork and stuff from my hometown. Anytime I find stuff from my hometown, I always try to grab it because it's always like cool shit. Like I got this print on my wall, and it was like an old. I got it for I think $5. I tried to sell it. I couldn't sell it for like I lowered it to $100 was like the least I would take for it, and nobody would buy it. I had a few watchers on it, but I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna keep it. Like I've had it this long. I'll just keep it. And it's a print from Brockton. That's where I'm from, Brockton, Mass. It's pretty hood. Look it up. And this print that I have is like a bar, and it's all of the people that are in this print, like each have like each character in this picture. It almost looks like a Where's Waldo type picture. It's black and white print. And it's, each character has like a little name written next to them, and there's a bunch of them. And supposedly what I was told when I bought this was that each person in the picture was like an actual person who went to that bar. And so this whole, it's like all character pictures. There's like a ton of shit going on when you look at it. I'm looking at it right now just because I've always loved it. And I'm really glad that nobody bought it because, I would have been pretty bummed if I sold it for like $50. So yeah, now I have that. So I'm working on, I want to redo my whole, now that we have a little bit more space, I want to redo like the whole bottom downstairs. Like I want the basement to just be mine and move all the kids' shit upstairs. And that way I could set up like a podcast studio. The video games I could actually get set up a lot better and get a couple of like TVs and shit down here. So it'd be like the whole little setup. And then I've got some more artwork that I want to put up. I posted it on my Instagram. So my mom, we obviously started going through her stuff. And one of the things I found, I don't know if I'd ever seen it before, but she had a subpoena. So she'd always told me this story. I did a project on this story way back in the day. And it was, so there was this rich heiress named Patty Hearst. Like if you've probably heard the name Hearst, they're one of the biggest families in the fucking country. And, like I've been to their my mom took us back in the day, like 15 years ago, something like that. Not even back in the day, like 15 years or so more, to like their giant mansion in California. And I remember they had like zebras just wandering around on the property, and like it was a crazy ass fucking. It was like a castle. So anyway, this daughter of this heir, or she was like the heiress like of this giant family, or this super rich family. So she was like kidnapped in 1974 or some such shit, and she gets brought to a bank. Supposedly she was brainwashed, and she gets brought to this bank with this group called the Symbionese Liberation Army. And so they robbed this bank in San Francisco. It was like a massive story, like in history. And my mom was there, and she was the bank teller. And so the subpoena is her subpoena for that court case. So I think I'm going to get that framed as well and put that up on the wall. So that's like some cool fucking counterculture type shit. That's, I like that type of shit. So where was I going? Yeah. So then I go back to this estate sale. Back to this estate sale. So at this estate sale, I got there, I didn't feel like going and waiting. So I got there, and they had a sign up list. So I went and signed up, and I saw like, a couple names I recognized. One of this guy that I know, and for some reason he always like acts like he kind of forgets me, which is kind of like a weird fucking move. Like there's only so many reset. Like I don't know if he just like knows that when I'm there, like he's like, oh fuck, I gotta be on my P's and Q's because this guy is just really good at resetting. But he's cool as shit. He always lets me come like look and go through his stuff. So I don't know what it is. If I just catch him off guard when I'm like, he doesn't think he's gonna see me or what, I don't know. But I saw his name on the thing, so I'm like, oh shit. So I go sit in my car, and then it was like 8:30. I was like, I should probably get up and like go wait by the door. And so I didn't. I just waited in the car, and then all of a sudden I see people like running to the door. It's so funny, dude. It's estate sales. The people at estate sales, man. Like you wouldn't catch me run. If I was near the door, I would go in, try to beeline it if I wasn't like on the list ahead of these people. But like, I'm not gonna run from my car, across the way just to get into this fucking estate sale. Like, unless there was something I really wanted, but then I'm waiting by the door. You know what I mean? So they opened early. Of course, that pisses some people off because they were on the list and blah, 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 blah. There's always some shit. But then I went through this whole house and there wasn't really anything I really wanted. The clothes were, it was vintage clothing, but, vintage clothing doesn't necessarily mean desirable clothing. And like, you can kind of tell. I always look at certain things so I'm not wasting my time completely. You can kind of tell by the shoes. So I usually look at shoes, even if I'm not buying them, just to kind of see what brands they are. Because then you can kind of get an idea of like what's going to be all in the house. So there wasn't like a ton of good shit. So the last place I went, which is like, almost always the last place because I'm never really looking for tools, but you never know what you're going to find out there. So they had the garage open. So I went to the garage and I'm looking around. There's a couple people in there and there's like a big mattress. And on the side of the mattress, there's like a Sony TV. So I'm like, I was first looking at the Sony TV. So I walked over to the Sony TV to look at it, to start looking it up. And then I see on top of that on a shelf is like a 3-piece Atlantic mold Christmas tree, like a couple $100 Christmas tree. So I'm like, oh sweet, I'm definitely gonna grab this. So there's nowhere to put it. It's gigantic, you know what I mean? So I had that, and then there was the TV in front of me. So I'm like, I'm trying to guard all this stuff. I'm like, and this guy comes over as I'm like looking at the TV. He's like, oh, can I grab that Christmas tree? I was like, oh, I'm buying that. He's like, oh, okay. It's just like, it's just sitting there on the thing, but it's like, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to carry it and risk breaking it. So as soon as I was done making sure I wanted the TV, I grabbed it, ran into the other room and was like, hey, I'm going to buy this. Can I put this here? I want to get that TV too before somebody grabs it. So I went and grabbed the TV and that. And I come back and she's looking up the, sorry, I brought that back, brought the TV back. I was like, all right, I'm going to go do one more lap around the house. So I start looking around and I come back into the room and I see them. They're on eBay looking up this fucking TV. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, I hate estate sales. Like, it's like, dude, it's a fucking TV that was tucked into the back corner. Nobody else is going to buy it. Like, so I'm waiting for her to be like crazy on the price. She said $20, which is more than I kind of wanted to pay for it, but I kind of knew what it was worth. And I already have some boxes that I can box it up in. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll take it. And then she wanted $10 for the Christmas tree, which the Christmas tree was the one that people kept trying to take that, not take it, but like there was one lady that walked up because there was a sold sticker on it. It was like on top of the TV with the sold sticker. And some lady was like walking up to it, looking at it. And I was like, oh, I just bought that. I'm actually grabbing it to take it to the car. And she's like, oh, those are nice. And somebody else was like looking at it as I was walking out. So that's always cool when you get the item that people like, I found it in the corner and a couple people wanted it. She was like, where did you find that? I was like, I don't know. It was in the fucking garage. I don't know, lady. Go do your own estate sales. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, I'm not running your estate sale for you. Where did you find it? In the garage. It wasn't like in any other blocked off rooms. So yeah, I got those two things. That was all I got there. But spent $30. Should make a decent amount. I already took pictures of the tree. I gotta box it up. Whenever I have stuff like that, I like box it up first to make sure I know exactly how much it's gonna be, and then that way I can put it up in the listing with the dimensions correctly, so I don't get hit with some fees and shit after the fact. So yeah, that was the Saturday estate sale. I just went to that one. I don't think there was any other sales. It's been rough, even for like third-party estate sales. There's one this weekend that I haven't seen advertised very, very much at all. So I'm hoping it stays in the place that I saw it and doesn't like. A lot of times people will post something, and you'll be like, oh, they didn't post it anywhere else, and they just never do. And then the day of the sale comes and nobody's at their sale because they didn't post it anywhere. And I'm the only one who checks like all these fucking places. You can find it if you work hard enough. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is. But anyway, so I'm hoping it's one of those situations where I'm the only one there. Oh, I love estate sales where you can just kind of poke around. You've already made your pile. You go in, make a pile real quick. The prices are awesome. You're already ready to go with your major stuff. And you start digging around for those extra tchotchkes and, hidden gems, the little guys. Sometimes they're big guys. You just find them in the right spot, right place, right time. So I am. We'll see how that goes. And then I was bidding on another storage unit today, and I probably would have paid a little bit more for it, but I'm like, I just got some money in for my mom. Obviously, she passed away. We did a whole episode about it. So, her money started to come in. Like, I think we just closed out her bank account. So her bank account I had to close out. And that's just like straight up cash. So that just went right to me. So I paid off some of my credit cards and shit. But I'm like, I don't want to spend all of my money, all this money that I just got on a fucking storage unit that's going to be a bust. You know what I mean? So I still am like, even though I have the money to spend it, like, a little bit more disposable income right now, I have the money to spend on these units. It's like, I don't want to spend that on a fucking unit that's like, this one actually kind of had a right to go that high. So I was like, I'm not mad at it, but I just didn't want to compete for that right now. I don't really have time. There's shit everywhere all over the house. Plus, so I went to these auctions like a few years back. And it was a little bit of a drive, but they were actually pretty good. And like, they're, again, not very advertised. So I think there might've been like 30 people there, like at the auction house, which, isn't a ton of people. When you're comparing it to like online and stuff. So these, the one I went to, they shut down. It was like a family run one. They shut down. They were like, oh, this person's going to be taking over. And then just never, like, I never saw anything about it again. So finally, like, I was literally just talking about this the other day because I got some decent deals. And here's the thing. I was terrible. Not terrible. I just didn't know, like, what to spend on stuff. And so this one that I looked like this, I have to go look at the lineup for this one as well, because I saw it like late and I didn't want to stay up all night looking at that shit. So yeah, this lineup looks pretty good. I'm hoping that it's an opportunity to find stuff for like Whatnot and to find stuff good, because the last time I went, they had already been doing it for a while, so I think people were trying to bid like up new people. So this one I think is their first one. They did one because I went to their page once I figured out who is in charge of them now. I went to their page to see like, oh, have I just been not been getting these notifications? And they only really did one auction, and it was like in the fall of last year, and that's like a year and a half after the original one closed. And so they just finally, like, I guess did another one. So they did that one last fall, and then this is the next one. So this is only like the second one they've done. And, there's obviously, they've got a little bit of a following as like a store, but that doesn't necessarily translate to auctions. So we'll see. There's a ton of stuff, a ton of stuff. So I'm hoping that it's worth it to drive down there for that tomorrow and to miss out on that storage unit that I passed on that went for a little bit more than I wanted to. So yeah, we'll see. The last time I went to those auctions, it was fun. I got there way too early though. I got there like right when the preview started, because the preview starts at like 3:00 and then the auction starts at like 6. So I was there from like 3 to 6, and then the auction goes until like 8. So this time I'll probably get there at like 4:30, 4:45. So that way I have like an hour to kind of go through and see which ones I want to actually bid on and how much. I'll have an idea of which ones, because I'm going to go through tonight or today in between this and our Whatnot, which I do have to talk about that. Don't let me forget that, because we do have a Whatnot tonight. But yeah, it was cool. I got like some old toys. Again, the last time it was like there was one that I should have bid up on, and I didn't bid up on it. I bid up on the other stuff. I bid up on like the Spawn stuff, and that was the one that I ended up winning. And I'm pretty sure that stuff I was getting bid up on. So like I got a ton of it, but it wasn't like anything valuable. Like I know some of the Spawn stuff can go for some money, But this was all like the generic fucking shit. I sold it all. I sold out of it at the whatnot that we did, but I don't think we made it. I think I barely made my money back on that. And it was over like X amount of years. I had put them in the attic because I was like, man, this isn't even worth like what I paid for it at the time. And my whole hope was that I was going to bank on the fact that they had a Spawn movie coming out at some point. So who knows? Maybe it'll still come out, but it was time to let them go. We needed a whatnot for auction for that week, and so we did that. And I'm happy with the results. We got rid of a bunch of inventory, got a bunch of followers. We're close. We're just about to 800 followers. So I'm hoping that these next couple of weeks we can get up to 1,000. We're going to definitely get to 1,000 sold after this one tonight. I think we should sell out tonight because we're selling. So we're selling my mom's. We're starting my mom's estate sale tonight. So tonight will be the first part of my mom's estate sale. And we're just running essential oils. She had a shitload of essential oils. And it's all new old stock. So it's just, I've got like a giant bag just filled with essential oils that we're going to go run through dollar starts for all of them. So I'm hoping that we sell out of those. Who knows? I've never sold essential oils on whatnot, but I know that like I was looking up some of the prices for them, and they go for like $15 to $20 plus shipping. You know what I mean? So if you're getting a few bottles for like $5 to $10 a piece, you're gonna be pumped. So we'll see how that goes. So this will be the first part of the estate sale. Then we'll do part 2 next week, and then we'll probably take a little bit of a break from the estate sale stuff, go through some of the inventory, and see where we're at. I got some stickers in. Again, if you are a fan of the show and you want some stickers, this is the only place I will tell you how to get these stickers is if you're a fan of the show, reach out to me and I can hook you up with some stickers. Either like message me on Facebook or eBay or Instagram. Instagram, I don't always see it on Instagram until like much, much later because I always forget that there's like an extra folder that they always have shit in for Instagram. So anyway, my wife is, tomorrow is the auction, and then Friday, my wife's supposed to be going back. So we just were out seeing family in Connecticut. And she's got to go back because we had another, I guess it's a family member. It was one of her relatives, friends, or something like that, passed away. So she's going out for that. I was going to go with her, but then we'd have to take the kids and the dog now. I got to tell you, man, having a dog, I love dogs. I'm a big dog person. I love having a dog. But for some reason, I just do not want a fucking dog right now. And I'm doing all the dog owner stuff. I'm responsible. I'm walking him every day, chilling with him, hanging out. But it's like I'm just not super pumped about it. Like if you ask me like, oh, dude, you got a dog? That's sick. I'd be like, yeah, I guess. Do you want him? Like, like last night, he just was like, he randomly woke up and barked in the middle of the night. And I'm like, well, is that like a situation? But he also didn't piss, or he like wouldn't go out. So I try to take him out before I go to bed, so I don't have to worry about it at night. And like he doesn't want to go out because it's too cold. So I woke up to him like creeping up to my bed in the middle of the night. So I woke up, I'm like, yo, I was like, what's up? Do you need to go out? And I got up to take him out. He like jumped back in the bed and laid down. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I don't know if I was making noises while I was sleeping and he was just freaking the fuck out. Because I'm still like getting over, because I could hear myself when I was sleeping last night. It's like as I was starting to fall asleep, as my shit's still not all cleared out. It's getting there. So yeah, he's a dog. I want to get I know puppies are a lot of work, but eventually I want a puppy. You know what I mean? And once my kids are a little older, because then I'm like, oh, I can train this thing and nurture this thing and But yeah, so now we have a 7-year-old fucking dog who he stinks right now because we haven't given him a bath. We haven't had time. So I'm hoping tomorrow I can give him a bath. And then he needs his nails clipped. He let me clip one of them, and then that was it. So it's like, I don't want to fucking do this every month. I don't want to fucking bathe the dog and clip his goddamn nails. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't, this is not what I want it to fucking do. Again, I love dogs, dog person, but it's a lot of work to have a dog when you're not like ready to have a dog. When you're like in it and you're like, yeah, man, I'm going to have a dog. We're in a routine now. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It is what it is. But it's just, people are going to think I'm a horrible person who hates dogs. I don't hate dogs. I love dogs. I'm a big dog person. So what me and my wife bonded over, she had her stupid ass fucking dogs. And she was away. She was like out of town for something. So I was staying at her place and her dog wouldn't eat because she was gone. So I was like hand feeding her dog. And, so yeah, I love dogs. And the other thing too, I probably said this already, is like, I'm just inheriting a dumbass dog. I hope he can't hear this. You know what I mean? He's not like the smartest fucking dog. And again, I just want a dog that's just going to follow me around based purely on instinct. Like, I want to be that guy who somebody's like, yeah, I just got this dog. He just started following me around. Like, what the fuck? All my friends that always happens to, they're like, yeah, they're like, oh, dude, you must have had to train this dog a bunch. No, he just fucking stays in the yard and hangs out. And like, we had a dog. My mom hated that dog too. And this is kind of like the payback, I guess, for that fucking dog was because, she was a dumbass for this though. She took me to go see the dog. Like, she took me when she was going to look at this fucking dog, and she takes me. And of course I'm like, the first dog I see, I'm like, yeah, that's the dog. So we end up taking this dog. I remember going to look at this dog too. It was like at somebody's like apartment. You know what I mean? It was like one of those apartments, kind of like maybe like no yard, like a very small yard if so. And I just remember getting this dog and taking it home, and like you would let it outside. Like, we would take it to the state forest and he would just take off running and then like wouldn't come back to you when it was time to go. So it was always like a huge issue getting that dog back if he like ran away. Pickles was that dog's name. So yeah, this is kind of like, it wasn't the worst dog in the world, but it was just like, it just was, it was just a dog. So that's kind of where I'm at. And, whatever. I want another dog at some point. And also, like, our setup here is not the best for a dog. It's a lot of stairs. So we're trying to open up the other side. So we got the cat out of there. Man, it smells so much better. I don't know. Like, listen, I'm not a cat person for sure. I grew up with cats. I will never adopt a cat. I will never buy a cat. You'll never see me, like, trying to get a cat. I'm not a cat person. Grew up with cats. Friendly with cats. I bawled my eyes out when I had to get rid of my mom's cat. Didn't want him. Did not want him at all. And after like a week, just the way it smells like a house again. I'm like, I walked into the other, I walked in there when it had the litter box in there. It smells like a fucking pet shop. Like, regardless of, I was cleaning that litter box every other day. I don't know if you're supposed to clean it every day, but it was just like, after a week, without that in there, it's just actually smells so much better. Oh my God. I don't know how cat people do it. My God, you guys are fucking disgusting. They fucking walk. I remember we were trying to give my buddy the cat, and my wife is like going through all the reasons why she hates cats. The big one for me that I never even thought of, that she is the one, she's like, they shit in a box, shit and piss in a box, and then like some people, not all people, some people are not completely weirdos, but they'll shit in a box and piss in a box and then walk through that shit and piss, walk it all over your house, and then go up on your counters or your table. And she's like, and there's people that just don't think that that's a problem. And she's like, and then and then she even went further. I don't know why this had anything to do with bake sales, but she's like, yeah, that's why I don't get stuff from bake sales. I'm like, what? She's like, because people buy those, people who are making those things, they're making them at their house. She's like, you don't fucking know what they're doing at their house. It's not like they're regulated. I'm like, God, dude, she ruined bake sale. I used to love getting shit from a bake sale. And she ruined it for me. Because I'm like, you're absolutely fucking right that you people probably are like, some of these people for sure have cats at the house and they do not give a fuck about their cat. They're probably like, oh, it's so cute, get off the fucking thing. Like, I'm even it's all crazy to me. There's a couple resellers that I follow on YouTube, you know, no knocks against them, but they'll have their cat in their fucking work area. It's like, don't you get the cat hair all over everything? Like, I'm worried now because we have a dog now, and the dog doesn't come into my workspace. But I'm just like, are we going to have to, like, is my shit going to smell like a dog now? So it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's you know, not the right time mentally, emotionally to have a dog, but we're making it work. We brought him to the in-laws this past week. I was hoping that they were going to be like, yeah, just fucking leave him here. Because they have a bunch of trails across the street. So he's like, oh, you could take him over there for some, like, exercise. Da, da, da. And I'm just, like, thinking, like, why don't we just leave him here? Yeah. You know what I mean? My daughter would still be like, oh, we get to go see him at Grandma and Pop-Pop's, you know? And so, yeah. They didn't take the bait, though. I don't think they want a dog either, especially a dumbass 7-year-old dog. And I don't want to get rid of him. Like, I don't want to give him up. The only way I would give him up is if it was like a friend who's just like, I'll take him. Like, sure. You know what I mean? Fucking 100%. Like, I'm not going through it with a stranger again. Even though it's somebody like set up through my cousin, I just don't want to have to go through that process again. So yeah, I'm just like calling all these places. I had to book. I booked the venue for the celebration of life. I still have to find a DJ. I keep going back and forth whether that's a good idea or not, and I think it is. The idea I had last week of hiring a DJ to just being absolutely ridiculous, like acting just like a hype man, like just high energy, and then just playing the most low energy sad songs while, like, you know, hyping it up over the, you know what I mean, like just as the music's playing, like this a nitty beat. You know, some shit like that. Oh, you hot for this one, like that's those old mixtape shit. Like, I want that shit while some sad shit's playing, you know what I mean, like Aerosmith. And I'd miss you, baby. That song's kind of weird to sing about your mom, but it would be funny. That would be even funnier, I guess. I'm just trying to bring some laughs here for, you know, it's going to be a sad event. Well, it's a celebration of life, I guess, so it's supposed to be not as sad. What am I? Did I already? Oh, I already did. I didn't even write down anything for this week's episode. It's hard when there's no sales and stuff. I mean, you know, you kind of go through different phases and stuff. Somebody posted, it was like a video game lot, and it looked almost too good to be. Oh, it was too good to be true. That's right. I forgot about that. They messaged me. I forgot. So I messaged them because it was like, this huge Nintendo 64 lot, and they had it listed for like $50-$60. I'm like, even if it's too good to be true, you have to, at least take the chance and say like, hey, is this available? So I'm like, hey, I could pick this up anytime, blah, 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 blah. And they go, oh, it's pending pickup, but I'll let you know if it falls through. So then it sells. And like 2 or 3 days later, the person reaches out to me and they're like, hey, this is still available. You're next in line. When can you come pick it up? And I was like, I could come shortly. Like, I could come in a couple hours, like whatever works for you. And so then they're like, yeah, they go back and forth with me. So then I'm like, all right, like I'll let you know when I'm heading out. So I'm like, I didn't hear anything from them. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to head out. I need the address. Didn't hear anything from them. Like, okay. So they just completely like ghosted me. I'm pretty sure it was a scam and they were going to try to get me to pay. But because I was like, oh, I'll come right now, they were like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I can't come now. They're like, well, if you pay me on Venmo, I'll hold it, which I never do. I'm always like, no. Because I've had people that have done that before and it's like completely legit. But like, it's hard, you're kind of gambling every time you do that. I don't even remember what I was just talking about. Anyway, another week. I'm excited for this auction. We'll see how it goes. It's a lot of collectibles, so there might be some collectible people there. But you never know. I mean, it's so barely advertised. So we'll see. We shall see. Playoffs are fucking full swing. Patriots won last week. Not my favorite win, but a win's a win. What else? What else is going on? It might be a shorter episode today just because I don't really have a ton to talk about. I already talked about doing that podcast that I did. That one still hasn't been released. Oh yeah, we paid off my mom's car. So we're going to paid off my mom's car. One of our other cars has been paid off. And then we have a payment on one of our cars currently. So we paid off my mom's car, which only had a little bit left. And so our plan is to trade that car in, or either trade it in or sell it, probably sell it. Sell that car and sell the other car that we've had paid off and buy a used car without payments, like just buy something straight up, like a newer used car. Because every time we go and we get the fucking brand new model, like fucking dipshits, and it's like, why the fuck are we doing this? Like, there's no fucking reason. Just get the older one, barely used. There's almost always the same amount of miles on them. So this time, yeah, we're then we're going to pay off the car that we have now. So we're going to be like almost complete. So we'll be completely debt free in a couple weeks. Just once we get all this shit sorted out. So yeah, I'm excited because I'll be able to actually spend a little bit more money on the business. We're not going to have any other like expenses except for, bills that come up, groceries, like this essential shit. I'm even thinking about paying off like 1 year of the house. Just pay off 1 year just to get ahead on the house. Because if we could pay the house off, obviously sooner than we have had it, that would be awesome. But it's like, you're just putting a small little dent in that. But if you pay off a year, then you're just adding on, you're just, the interest when you finally do pay it off will be a lot less. I think. I don't know anything about that. I don't even know if I'm doing this the right way. Who fucking knows? I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited for the winter to be over. I'm over it. I'm over it already. It's not shit to talk about. We did a whatnot last week. It was, what did we do? The fuck we did stuffed animals, plushies, and it went well. I mean, we didn't make a ton of money, so I had like a bunch of plush that I got for free. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just go to Savers. I'll have the 20%, spend a little bit on plush just so we have a selection that, people can choose from, even if we're not making a ton of money. So we actually made more on the sale than I thought. We made like, I think cleared 60, like after everything. Somebody actually tipped me. We got our first, we've gotten a tip of like $1 before, but we got like $5 tip. That was the first time I've gotten a tip in as a live performer, I guess. That sounds weird to say. But I've never got a tip, I know that there's like live streaming that you can do that's like all tip based. Like I went on a stream one time with this dude. He was a race car driver. And he was like the first guest when I was doing a podcast where I would interview people. And he had this simulation rig set up at his shop. And it was like, like a full on fucking rig that he would practice driving on. But he would be live while he was doing it. So you had people in the chat and shit. And so, I remember going and sitting in and trying to like engage and like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. This is the first time sitting in on a live. And, we finish up and, I'm just kind of trying to shoot the shit and whatever, just get through it. And so like the next day, this guy tells me like, it's like, yeah, some of the people on the stream were saying like, you got to work on your presence on the stream. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I had no business being there. Like, I had no business at all. Like, it was so, I obviously gotten better in live situations. But yeah, just that one situation where the dude's just like, yeah, you weren't very good. I'm like, well, I guess thanks for telling me. But like, I didn't think I was that bad. You know what I mean? I'm here doing something I have no fucking idea about, like race cars. And like, I'm just trying to learn. and like, he's there practicing. So it was a very weird situation. I don't miss when I first started doing that podcast. It was so much fun because I was interviewing people I knew in different like types of business. Like interviewed this one dude that I know who started a clothing company. I think they're still actually around. It's like a surfing clothing company. So I interviewed him, and that one went pretty well. But like I used to interview people, I would go and we would not hang out, but meet up for the podcast. And so we would pick a time. I'd go there with my shit set up and we'd record. And or they would come to my house and record. So it was like, I loved doing it that way. And then I think the pandemic happened, and then that was like the end of that. I had to, we couldn't meet in public or in person anymore. And the other thing too was trying to find guests because you're doing everything Zoom. Like everybody was just busy with podcasts and shit. And then like podcasts were just blew up at that point. Like everybody was releasing a podcast because we were home. So yeah, it was probably the time that I should have kept it going. But in hindsight, I would have switched to this format. But again, it's just kind of happened the way it happened. This became a reselling podcast. And then it's also a podcast within a podcast because I talk about the podcast, talk about my stay-at-home dad shit, which has been fun. My kids are, my 3-year-old is starting to like, she's kind of morphing into a little person. So she's just got all these little phrases and sayings and, they're growing up. They always say it goes so fast. Yeah, I mean, it's gone fast and it goes fast and slow at the same time. I'm with my kids all the time. So when I get to the point where I'm like, I need a break. But I also like, I try not to miss out on stuff. My oldest went to a birthday party the other day, and we weren't really invited. Sorry, not we, like my daughter. Like, the rest of the family. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, the family can come. And sometimes they're like, just your kid. So this was like a just the kid invited situation. So my wife brought her. And, yeah, it's just, the shit like that starts to happen where you're like, oh, you can't go. And, I don't know what the fuck I'm even talking about this. I was trying to go off on another like lane to try to talk about some shit for a few minutes, but I have no fucking idea what my point was. I'm trying to think if I have anything else reseller related. Oh, I ordered a roughly related reselling t-shirt, a single t-shirt. They're expensive as fuck. It was like $40 to get the one I got. Now, of course, I made sure I was like the most comfortable because I always get like the shirt and it's fucking not comfortable. So I paid up for the more expensive t-shirt for myself, obviously. But like eventually if I have them printed, I need to find a better a better thing for bulk. Because if I can get them done in bulk, then I can start selling them. But like right now, $40, I can't charge $50 for a t-shirt. Even at $50, I'm barely making any money on it. And I'm not trying to make a ton of money, but like $40 a head is a lot of money to put up for some t-shirts that may or may not sell. So I got to figure out a way to get them a lot cheaper. Obviously I just wanted one to wear, so I didn't mind paying up for just the one. So yeah. And then the other thing that happened, I guess I'll just talk about this real quick because this is related to my life. So I got an email from, what is my kid doing? She's ready to come down. I got an email from people from my high school, the reunion planning committee. So it's been 20 years since I've been in high school. 2006 is when I graduated. So this year is 20 years. We graduated with like 800 something kids. Now I'm sure a good number of those people have died. Like I know a few people from my high school that died. So that number obviously is a lot less, but it's still going to be a lot of people, especially if a lot of them actually like show up and attend. Who knows if they actually will. But they sent a thing. They're like, you can either be part of the committee, which is like you have to potentially pay money up front to get shit started. Also, like, you know, you have to go to weekly meetings. I was like, God damn. It's like the two people who you should have doing this job. You know what I mean? You remember these girls from high school, you're like, oh yeah, these two were like the class presidents and like all that shit. They were crazy psychotic about this shit. So these are the people you want handling this stuff. I don't think I want to be involved helping. One, I don't have time. Two, I wouldn't be able to contribute anything. You know what I mean? Maybe like financially a little bit, but, and then, the second option was you can volunteer. So like just be a volunteer at the event, you know, volunteer with setups, breakdown, that type of thing. And then the last one was just if you just want to attend. So I'm probably just going to attend. But they were talking about like sponsorships, like talking about possibly getting it sponsored. So I don't know if I want to suggest like, hey, maybe you should open it up to alumni sponsorships. You know what I mean? And then get myself a little sponsorship while I'm there. A little tax write-off for some promotional stuff. So who knows? I'll keep you posted on that. You know, I got to talk about something right now while reselling is kind of dead. I haven't been selling a ton on eBay. I've been really shitty about pictures and putting stuff up. I've got some stuff that I need to get entered in. I've got those Magic the Gathering cards. I have to finish going through them. I don't know if I talked about this, but last week I was going through those Magic cards and I like reached into the bottom and I found, it was like a couple Pokemon Tops cards. So I like pulled that little box. There was like a couple boxes within this tote, and this box had Pokemon, like probably like 1,000, maybe less. I'm exaggerating. Maybe like 500, of the Pokemon Tops cards, which I know like weren't more sought after before, but I mean now they're kind of like in the vintage Pokemon range, and so they do go for a little bit of money. So those were in there. There was also some empty bags, which I thought they were sealed at first. I mean, you know, I kind of knew they weren't going to be, but so there was some empty packs from like the base era, the fossil, the jungle. So it was like one of each. So those I looked up, and you could sell those for a little bit of money. And then on top of that, there was like the little square lenticular. I forget who makes them. It's like something art, 3D art or something like that. But there was a bunch of those too. So it was like a bunch of cool Pokemon, and then a bunch of like random cards from like, you know, the first edition set and like around that era as well. So there's like a bunch of random cards. No like real holographic or anything like that or anything crazy, but I mean it was enough to basically, you know, triple my money, maybe more, on this $50 investment, which I still have all of those Magic cards. So, you know, the Magic cards, I'm already almost to like 5,000 cards, 3 to 5,000, based on just, you know, what I asked AI, how many Magic the Gathering cards fit in this size box, and that's what it said. So I'm going based on that. I'm already like that far in, and I have barely scratched. I haven't even gotten to the tote. I just got to the side box, and it's like, you know, almost half empty, and there's still like, you know, so I'm going to have a ton of Magic the Gathering cards to sell. I'm thinking about doing those in like flat rate priority boxes, and then just bidding, having people doing a whatnot and having people bid on the boxes. You know what I mean? Like, so I might do that with a card show. So we'll see. I need to do a card show at some point. So yeah, make sure if you're around tonight, check out the podcast. The podcast should be coming out today. I should be able to get it out in a couple minutes. I'll finish it up. Sorry. And post it. But if you're listening to this today, Wednesday, January 14th, tonight we have the first part of my mom's estate sale again on Whatnot, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Link is in the bio on Instagram, and I'm going to post it a few times today. Again, we've got essential oils today, but we're going to be going through a couple more things from my mom's estate. And then I've got another show lined up, like a bunch of stuff put aside for another show, like just vintage, mix of nostalgia, pop culture, all types of shit. Check us out again on Facebook, eBay, Whatnot, Flips and Giggles, Perry Flips. Make sure you follow me over on Instagram. And if you like the podcast, make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, and then make sure you hit the follow and notification button so you never miss an episode. And yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday with another episode. as we creep towards 100 episodes. I know we're so close. We were so close when we took 2 weeks off. So, all right, I got to go. My kid's calling me. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.